Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series, the edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitysdownfall. More information in the description. To Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 31! You come to and pretty much regret it right away. You ache in every little place that you've got that's capable of aching, and even in some places that you, technically speaking, don't have, but they're more spiritual, or whatever you want to call them. You unstick your eyes and blink at an unfamiliar ceiling. Shifting your head to the side, you get to see a bunch of machines hooked up to you, wires and whatnot trailing down to your bare arms, monitoring pretty much everything they can.
Gamzee, Equius says, suddenly appearing above you. How do you feel?
Real shit, you croak.
You sound thirsty, if nothing else,
Equius says, with a little sigh, and grabs a bottle of water. You haul your carcass upright, or close to it, and take the water bottle that Equius hands you. After draining half of it, you feel a little better, enough to look around you at any rate. Unsurprisingly, you're in the hospital, but it looks like a small ward, and you don't think you've been exactly here before. To your left, you can see Dave in a bed of his own, and he looks worse than you feel. His face is bandaged over his eyes, and there's even some gauze taped loosely over his ears. His lips are cracked, and generally he looks pretty dead. What's even more concerning is that you can see Bro by him, and see the state he's in. When you're unconscious, your ghosts end up on a shorter leash than usual, usually confined to the room that you're in. Since they feed off of your life, they get screwed if you're low enough on health to be out cold. But that's all it is, a short range. Bro seems to be doing worse than that. He sat on the floor by the side of Dave's bed, slumped awkwardly, like he can't quite reach the floor right, like the tether between him and Dave isn't even long enough for that. He's shattered. His whole form is spiderwebbed with cracks, and there's actual gaps there. One of his legs cuts off at the upper thigh, only to continue several inches away. He's missing several small chunks of himself completely, from his wrist and in his chest. He's looking at your ancestor, who is watching him with fascination, but when Bro sees you looking, he looks around at you. His head turns, and not all of the bits move at the same speed, and the effect reminds you of videos you've seen about chunks of ice flows in water, pieces of his face lapping against each other before settling. Bro says something in Spanish to you, which is no help to you at all. You get the feeling that even if you did know what he was saying, it wouldn't make much sense either. He doesn't seem with it at all.
He's falling apart,
your ancestor observes gleefully.
How's Dave?
You ask Equius worriedly. Equius draws in a deep breath and lets it out slowly, looking at Dave with a look of concern on his face.
I have managed to repair his eardrums, so his hearing should be a lot better when he wakes up. I'm sure he'll still need some time to fully recover his hearing to the level it was at before, as well as a few follow-up appointments, but it's a vast improvement on his previous situation. Exposure to the vacuum of space damaged the organic imitation parts of his eyes and their interface with his optic nerve. Unfortunately, that means I've had to remove his artificial eyes until he heals fully. I'm optimistic that he'll heal fine after a while. He's got some soft tissue damage in his mouth from his saliva boiling away, but it's not nearly as bad as I feared, though he may find that everything tastes very muted for a few days. Considering what he went through, he's come out of it very strongly, Equius says with a nod. Not many people survive going outside, Aradia agrees. You look around and realize that there are two beds opposite you, one with Aradia in it, and the one next to it with Karkat, who seems to be sleeping. On your side of the room, but to your right, you can see Solix upright and propped up in bed on his husk top with a scowl on his face. At the foot of his bed, there's a curled-up, featureless shape that you figure is his ancestor, and on the other side of the bed, Mituna and Damara are standing together with Karkat's ancestor.
Solix is trying to fix this virus thing. Carcat was awake earlier, but he wasn't feeling so hot. Equius gave him something for his head, and he's sleeping it off, I think.
Aradia explains for you. I don't approve of you working. I strongly... Equius begins.
You already kicked the Striders out. The least you can do is let me fix this before it fucks the whole ship over, including all of the machines in here.
Solix says distractedly. It was not doing your blood pressure any favors, Equius says with disapproval. How the fuck did that get out early? Carcat was real clear that it wasn't supposed to be set off then. You ask Solix.
Solix looks from his screen to you with an irritated look on his face, like you even asking pisses him off. Maybe he's just mad about this virus, or it's both. The language uses things dying as a reference. It's hard to use, and Carcat's bad at it. The Striders fucked about with it to make it do what they want, and they did fix a lot of problems, but as far as I can figure, they put in something that accidentally referenced some old junk bit of code in there that they left in from Carcat's version. Basically, if tech dies, it replicates more. Solix explains slowly.
Carcat made it do that? You ask, not sure what he means.
No. Solix rubs his temples with his fingers and sighs. Think like Carcat wrote one half, which on its own didn't do anything. Then the Striders wrote the other half, not realizing that when you run both, you get a problem with tech dying. Carcat's part wasn't specific about what tech was, because he didn't need it to be, but I think it meant that lights blowing from ghosts fucked it up. But I don't know how it started. That was a long-ass way for him to say that he doesn't know how this happened either, but he's gonna act like he knows shit when he doesn't. Whatever. The point is that Solix needs to fix it. On the plus side, it seems like the Striders put a bunch of things in to make it more vulnerable to Solix shutting it down.
Aradia adds.
I swear I'm gonna give Hal a second black eye for pulling this shit.
Solix mutters. You don't have much to say about that. All of Dave's stupid family deserve about the same, fucking things up so badly that you had no choice about what to do. His sisters, in particular, should be grateful that you didn't really snap at them in the captain's office. All that shouting and whining, acting like they were right. They're gonna get a real surprise when Dave wakes up, that's for damn sure. It worked, right? We're not all dead, so... You say to Aradia.
Yeah. I don't know how far we jumped exactly, because Equius won't let me leave, and I've not seen Nepeta yet, but... When the Strider family was here for 2 minutes before Equius kicked them out, they said we jumped pretty far ahead.
Aradia nods. You have not been awake very long at all, and I have no idea what kind of toll this sort of thing has on you, since I've been entirely unaware of it this whole time. Clearly it has some impact on you all, so I am not comfortable with letting any of you leave until I have proper proof that you are fine. Equius says sternly, his hands on his hips.
Weren't you gonna test my blood?
Solix asks, looking up suddenly.
You told him to come back later since you were busy fixing this high fire that a coalition of morons started.
Aradia tells him, in what you're positive is a direct quote.
I don't remember saying that, even if it's something I stand by.
Solix says slowly.
You were typing and quietly cursing a lot at the time,
Aradia adds.
Well, he says, suggesting a lot of improbable places for people to put things or other parts of their anatomy.
Aradia goes on cheerily.
Damara and Matuna are laughing now. They're talking too, but you don't know what they're saying.
You guess something at Solix's expense.
Can you just stab me? It'd be less painful than all of this.
Solix asks. I can test your blood for you. If you could come over here, please. Equius says, and watches as Solix pushes the desktop off of his lap and gets to his feet. He's a little unsteady as he stands, but manages to balance after a moment. At the foot of his bed, the dark shape that is his ancestor's ghost rises up a little, like a danger noodle or a meow beast, perhaps. As his balancer goes to walk away, he springs from the bed and lands on his shoulders. Solix doesn't seem at all bothered by it, and takes a seat on the chair that Equius puts in the middle aisle of the ward, more or less in the middle, between the foot of your bed and Dave's.
The small, dark shape of Solix's ghost is looking at your ancestor, who has resumed his investigation of Bro. Right now, he's putting his fingers through the missing pieces in Bro's body. Solix looks worriedly from Bro and GHB to you. He looks back at his own bed and psionically pulls his palm husk over to himself, one-handedly types something, and after a quick glance at your ancestor, he flicks it onto the bed by your leg. Your ancestor didn't notice a thing. You pick the palm husk up and look at it. Dave said he ignores your ancestor. I don't know if you want me to, but is whatever he's doing to Bro dangerous to Dave? I don't give a shit about Bro, but I won't let him hurt Dave. Huh. Good question. You don't know. Him outright attacking Bro would probably not be great for Dave, but who knows with this? You shrug a little as your answer. He gives you an incredulous look, barely paying attention to Equius tightening a strap around his arm and swabbing his skin down. With his free hand, Solix takes his palm husk back, types, and returns it to you.
Small scratch,
Equius says quietly. Is taking out GHB going to hurt you? You shake your head. You really motherfucking doubt that's going to go well for Solix's ancestor, but that's not your problem. You watch as Solix touches his shoulder where his ancestor is perched, his fingers slipping through the ghost's form a little.
Is your shoulder all right?
Equius asks with concern, because obviously he can't see any of this. Huh? Yeah, no, I'm fine. Solix answers distractedly. You watch as the ghost on his shoulders grows in size, prickling and sparking with psionic static. It bounds from Solix's shoulders to Dave's bed in some vaguely animal-shaped form. The Grand High Blood jerks back in surprise, but doesn't react any more than that. He might have been startled, but he's definitely not running away. On the other side of the room, the light ghosts have all noticed what's going on, or that something's about to go down anyway. As for you, you just take in what's going on without a care. Not your circus, not your performing primates. No matter how this fight goes down, you don't care. Solix's ghost. It was psionic, right? Shifts into a form a little more troll-shaped. At least, he gets a face like one anyway. He hisses at your ancestor, who watches with amused indifference.
Got enough mind left after the helm to finally remember me, he says slyly.
Psionic pauses, and his form shifts to something almost entirely troll, and very much like his descendants. Expressionless, he looks your ancestor up and down, but says nothing.
And you're here to make this personal,
your ancestor says as he gets to his feet. Psionic shakes his head, points at Dave, and then at himself. GHB doesn't seem to know what to make of that, and Psionic's blank look isn't helping.
This isn't anything to do with him,
he sneers. Psionic stares back at him, no reaction at all on his face.
The number of times I saw you on her ship, I could use you to navigate by how distant or close your screams were,
your ancestor says, his voice dark and gleeful. Psionic frowns slowly and shakes his head. Very fin-portant people, he says in a woman's voice, the old Empress's voice, and taps his temple. Your ancestor looks both stunned and confused at this, but it quickly shifts to rage.
No, I saw you. I was there. Your attempts at joking aren't funny,
your ancestor snarls. Psionic points at your ancestor, then at you, and the room around you all. Battleship, he says in a more synthesized voice, and shakes his head. This isn't the battleship. He was sent here. The implication is pretty clear, that if he was anyone worth remembering, then Psionic would remember him. If he was anyone important, he wouldn't have died here. Your ancestor launches himself at Psionic in blind fury, only for the other ghost to move out of his way with a casual drift to the side. Your ancestor turns around completely livid. Karkat's ancestor hurries over, clearly trying to defend Psionic, only what he actually manages to do is distract him. In the moment it takes Psionic to glance back at Signless, your ancestor bursts into a lunge towards him. Psionic's hand shoots out in a trail of red and blue. You stare, you all do, as it passes through the middle of your ancestor's chest. The Grand High Blood is fighting to retain his form, to stay real against an attack like that. As he struggles, Psionic leans in a little close to his face. "Nobody," he says, and the Grand High Blood disintegrates into smoke, and then nothing. "Holy shit," Aradia gasps. "Wow," Solix says, completely stunned.
What?
Equius asks, and you get to watch several people realize that he has no idea what just happened.
"Spooky shit,"
you answer him, and his nose gets that disapproving wrinkle in the bridge at your cussing.
"Well, enough of that. I have no idea if any of that is bad for you, since I don't know anything about this, but you should all try to rest. I should also test your blood, Gamzee, if you'll give me your arm," Equius says, pocketing the full tube of blood and retrieving an empty one. You shrug and unfold your arm as Equius tosses the old needle and gets a new one. "What about AA?" Solix asks. "He already got me," Aradia says, and holds out her arm to show him the little bandage that Solix is now sporting as well. "Speaking of blood tests, how come you had your psionics and I didn't? Not that I'm complaining, but things would have gone a lot differently if I hadn't been psionically powerless," Solix asks. "Oh, that. Well, I don't burn through the suppressants as quickly as you since I'm not as high-powered, so I was just on the tail end of it when we landed. Really, I should have had another just to be safe, but I had a feeling things might get interesting. No way were people gonna let you go around the shuttle with your psionics, though, even if they'd risk a few minutes with me." Aradia laughs. Solix starts bitching about how that ain't fair and everything. That's something to tune out for sure. Instead, you watch as Equius tightens his little strap thing around your upper arm, and he feels your skin for the veins that you have in there. It's not like you inventory them or something when he's not looking. You watch as the little tube fills up with purple, and then when Equius removes it, he presses a bandage to the spot his needle pierced. "Still alive, then?"
You note, as he pockets your blood sample as well.
"Please stay that way. I'm going to take these to the lab to test them. I'll be back very shortly. Solix, do not leave or get too overexcited about anything on your housetop. I have my palm house to alert me if anything changes with Dave, but if something goes wrong, you can ring," Equius explains, gesturing to a button by the head of your respective beds. "What do you think we're gonna do?" Solix grumbles as he hops back onto his bed and pulls his housetop to him again. "I dread to think,"
Equius says flatly. Equius turns to look at you for a moment, his eyes checking you over behind his slightly tinted glasses.
"You're in charge until I'm back,"
he says. You give him a lazy salute as the other two protest loudly.
"Gamzee is the most responsible person awake right now. I will be back shortly,"
Equius says, and with that he strides out of the room. "Wait, does that mean he thinks that Dave or Karkat is more responsible than the three of us? Which of them being awake outranks us?" Aradia wonders, looking over the other two men.
"After what went down, I'm guessing he's not picking Karkat. Responsible's not really what you'd call what happened,"
you point out. "That was pretty rash, even for Karkat." Aradia agrees with a nod. Counterpoint, me and Dave did just recently break a shitload of rules to sled down a mountain on a tiny little snowmobile trailer with only my psionics for steering, Solix says without looking up. "I feel like this is reflecting badly on us," she sighs. You shuffle yourself into a more comfortable position and try to take better stock of how you feel. Tired, mostly. Not like you really need to sleep this second, but you're pretty damn grateful that you don't have to be carrying the whole ship on your own. That said, you don't think Dave's going to be doing all that much anytime soon, which means either you still doing everything or you having to trade off with Solix. That means talking to him. You can't stand that guy. Things just keep getting worse, don't they? The door to your ward opens and you look over. Equius said he'd be a few, didn't he? Which you guess is why it's not him. Instead of Equius, it's Jade that walks in. Jade and that big white bark beast of hers and Dave's. Beck looks around the room curiously and spots Karkat. You can practically see the thought going through his head, right before he barks incredibly loudly. Karkat yelps and flails awake on his bed, looking around in alarm. "Beck!" Jade scolds him, although pretty mildly, because you know she found that funny. Clearly satisfied with himself, the bark beast trots past the panicked Karkat and over to the bed that Dave's in. The wag of his tail slows, and he puts his front paws on the bed to stand up and sniff at Dave's unconscious body. All at once, he jumps up, nudges Dave in the leg a little, spins in a small circle, and then sets himself down at the foot of the bed between Dave's legs. "The fuck?" Karkat wheezes. "Sorry," Jade says, with a shrug that doesn't seem all that sorry to you.
"She can't control the bark beast's comedic timing,"
you point out. Karkat looks from Jade to you. He must not have realized you were up and awake since he went from dead asleep to this. "You're awake," Karkat says dumbly.
"Last I checked."
You shrug. "Dave's still asleep?" Karkat asks, like he's not sure if sleep or in a coma is right. "Thanks for playing Who is Awake. Really exciting," Solix mutters as he types away. "Is Equius around?" Jade asks, probably figuring that this particular little conversation isn't so important that she can't cut in.
"He's gone off to do science to our blood,"
you explain. "Well, I do approve of doing science to things," Jade laughs. The smile fades from her face after a moment, and she bites her lip for a second before speaking again. "You look a little bit better now. You all looked really rough when they brought you in. You all did. And I know I've only just found out about all this stuff, but from what I heard, you were kind of holding down the whole ship by yourself when we were gone. After Father... Well, I'm sorry about that. And I wanted to say that I appreciate it. I'm not saying thank you, because it doesn't seem like you got much of a choice about this whole thing, but..." Jade waves her hands around in the air like she's gonna pluck the perfect word out, but can't quite do it.
"I gotcha."
You nod, and Jade sags a little with relief. Her attention shifts from you to Dave, and she slowly walks over to him, looking him over. Although, when she gets there, she doesn't touch him, like maybe she'd break him if she did. "There's no change with him, or...?" Jade asks, looking at Aradia. "No, sorry," Aradia tells her. Jade looks back at Dave, all frowns and concern. You can feel her fear humming deep down inside of her, that what-if kind of fear. What if he gets worse, or doesn't wake up? What if she never sees him again? What if it ends up being his funeral tomorrow? All that fear churning around inside her. It's kind of a relief that Equius comes back. Him walking through the door startles Jade from all that worry, and it's a lot easier on your senses that way. "Equius!" Jade exclaims.
"Jade, I know you're..."
he starts, but she cuts him off. No, I know you're keeping people out. I just wanted to bring Beck. From what you said, Dave's going to be blind for a while, and his hearing might still be off. That's going to be pretty scary, so I wanted to make sure he had Beck with him. I brought all of his things. I know Dave has extras at his hive and everything, but I have everything he needs for here. I gave Beck a bath and everything, so he's all clean. Here," Jade says, taking her bag off and holding it out to Equius.
"Oh, I see. That's good of you. Beck was always very well trained in his job. I'm sure he will be on his best behavior here,"
Equius says, and takes the bag. "Good. I'm happy I could bring him here at least. I'll get out of your hair. I'm not trying to sneak past the no visitors thing. If you need any help with Beck, or if you've got any questions, just shoot me a message or call me. I've put your handle on my emergency list," Jade tells him quickly.
"Thank you," he nods.
Jade gives Dave one last look and then quickly leaves the room.
"Well then, I hope that is the last of our unexpected visitors. Karkat, how are you feeling now?"
Equius asks, looking over at Karkat. "My head still feels like it's full of rocks, but I'm not getting that glowing migraine thing anymore," Karkat answers, running his hands through his messy hair to try to even it out and making no progress at all. Part of you wants to go over there and fix it for him, but you don't.
"Solix, are you still experiencing that?"
he asks, looking at Solix now. "Still only on one side. Doesn't hurt. And it's fine when I got my..." Solix pauses and hunches over his husk top a little more. There's a lot of sharp jabbing at keys and not a lot of answering Equius's question. Your doctor friend coughs loudly and pointedly. "What? Glasses. I'm fine now. Only thing hurting me is this stupid virus. Everything really is dumber when done by committee. Solix complains. Something in Equius's lab coat pings, and he reaches in to pull his tablet out.
Oh, excellent. The lab results are back, he says.
He should be negative. That's definitely not a lab, Aradia says with a grin, making Karkat groan loudly.
What?
Equius says. It's a joke, you tell him, but he still doesn't get it. Lab? Labrador? But Beck isn't? Forget it. I wish Jade was still here. She laughs at my jokes. Aradia sighs. Solix looks up from his desktop, his agitated keyboard strikes pausing for a moment. The look on his face makes you want to smack him on the head just to wipe that smug and amused look off his face. It's not even directed at you, and you don't even know why he's doing it. Aradia obviously does, and the more irritated she gets about it, the more Solix seems amused. Shut up! Aradia finally huffs. Didn't say anything, Solix says innocently. You cannot say it quieter, thanks, Aradia retorts and sticks her tongue out at him.
You seem very unconcerned with your results,
Equius says, clearly ruffled at this back and forth.
I think if my blood was going to explode, you'd have said.
You shrug. I don't think that's a thing that can happen, right? Karkat asks, giving Equius an uneasy look. It could if your blood was thin enough and the pressure high enough. Oh, or if the pressure outside was low enough at the same time. Then I guess that's more hemorrhaging than exploding, Aradia says thoughtfully, as Karkat looks more and more alarmed.
No one's blood is going to explode,
Equius tells you all sternly.
Glad you tested for it,
you say with a grin.
Well, if no one wants to hear the results,
he sighs, turning his back and making like he's going to put his tablet away. I want to know, Karkat insists.
He wasn't even testing your blood, Solix points out. I'm going to tell you anyway, because I have a medical obligation too. Your results are...
Equius starts to say. Behind him, the door to your ward opens, and you see Nepeta walk through. Oh, Nepeta, Karkat says in surprise. In his hands, Equius's tablet snaps in half, and ever so quietly you hear him say, fuck. He can't think of the last time he saw him break something by mistake, much less drop a fucking F-bomb of his own. He puts the shattered tech down on the little bedside table by you and turns to Nepeta.
No visitors right now,
Equius says stiffly. It wasn't really just a social call. Not that I don't care, of course. You're all my friends too, but... Nepeta hesitates. How we're doing is kind of a matter of ship survival, Aradia fills in for her. Right, Nepeta nods. She looks at Equius. You all do. He's standing there with his arms folded tightly across his chest, his fingers digging into his arms, and his jaw so tightly clenched that you think he could break some teeth again. You've never seen him look at her like this. They've been together for forever, really. Sure, they argue and frustrate each other, but this sure as shit isn't the anger and frustration that a Moira could give you from doing the wrong thing. This is legit anger. Equius, Nepeta says, making you all look from her to him to see what he's gonna say now.
If you need directions to the door, I can oblige you. They are the ones you came in through. As you are not the next of kin for anyone here, you are not entitled to any information, and I cannot and will not provide you with information beyond that under ethical grounds. Indeed, your presence inflicts a conflict of interest, so I strongly insist that you leave.
Equius orders her. I'm sorry. I know you were kept in the dark about a lot of this, and you have every right to be angry. Nepeta begins with a sigh.
Incorrect. I was not kept in the dark. You kept me ignorant to information that I needed to know, he snaps at her.
You can feel Karkat looking at you. He's probably mad that you didn't tell him, and guilty that he didn't tell you things. There's a lot of not saying things going around. There's a lot that I didn't know, too. As soon as I found out about the lengths the captain was going to and what she had done, I acted. If I had known all of this sooner, then obviously I would have done things differently, she insists. Egrius says nothing, but stands there glaring at her. You're all watching this go down, none of the rest of you saying a word. Even the damn bark beast is still and quiet, watching the argument happen with one dark eye and a raised ear.
When we both got our jobs, we knew there would be things we couldn't tell each other. State secrets, private medical information. We agreed to work around it. I'm angry at myself for not questioning things sooner, not finding things out for myself. When I first woke up to all of this and saw everything for real, I thought it was awful too, but I was told that was how things were, and Dave and the balancers before him told me that was the reality. I tried to do my best for my friends, even though there are things that I asked that I'm not proud of. Even if I thought I was helping. I thought I was protecting people, you included,
Nepeta tells him.
I do not care. That you were brought into a system that said you were special, and that was why you should lead people who had been deemed unfit to confront things themselves, shows a lack of clear thinking that is disappointing, but that's not...
Equius shakes his head and closes his eyes.
I know. I'm horrified at myself. I wanted to help people and to lead, like Disciple used to, and I ended up an agent of a system I'd have run a mile from if it had been presented to me up front. Things got worse bit by bit. You're right, I should have been suspicious of something that insisted that I was right, that didn't allow me to question it. But I was trying to help. Disciple's horrified that she didn't see it. She's horrified at me. It's awful.
Nepeta nods.
You always had our backs, though, Nepeta. You're a good leader. All the sailors respect you. Dave said before, you were so much better than the people you took over from.
Aradia insists, clearly trying to help.
That isn't the point,
Equius says firmly.
I'm sorry for keeping this from you. Really, I am.
Nepeta tells him.
Nepeta, tell me what the difference is between torture and medicine. Tell me now.
Equius orders her. Nepeta obviously wasn't expecting that, and it takes her a second of open-mouthed surprise before she manages to get a reply out.
It's first do no harm, right? That's the whole first principle?
She says finally.
It is, but that is not the difference. The difference is consent, he tells her.
Isn't that part of the same thing? You do emergency work where someone can't consent because you operate under a reasonable persons agreement. Like, if someone needs blood replaced and they die without it, but you don't know they're morally against artificial blood and would have refused it, you broke one but not the other because you didn't know. But it's only harm for them because of what they believe when it wouldn't be for someone else, right? You did tests on this, I remember,
Nepeta says.
Allow me to explain the difference. Consent has to be informed. If I give you a pill and tell you to take it for your headache and you consent to taking it, then you did not consent if I lied and it was in fact an emetic to make you violently sick,
Equius says.
Right. You can't just poison people.
Nepeta nods.
To be informed consent, you have to know exactly what you are getting and why, and I must be honest. If I can choose between 2 medicines to prescribe you and pick one to give you because it also has a side effect of weight loss and I think you are overweight, then I am still not getting your consent if I keep that from you. It does not matter if you consent to getting a condition treated and I am giving you something to do that. If I am deceiving you, then you do not know all that you are consenting to. To treat you without your informed consent is to control you, regardless of how much I think my intentions are for your benefit or not. It is wrong, he continues.
Equius then takes a step closer to Nepeta and looks down at her.
The last part is that consent has to be freely given. The examples we are given in school are where a loved one is pressuring someone to get a treatment that they don't really want, cosmetic or reconstructive surgery, for example, or where someone wants to use someone as a participant in a study and is bribing or coercing them into doing it, he says.
Nepeta doesn't say anything to that. Although her mouth opens, nothing comes out.
An example, perhaps, if this is too esoteric and theoretical. I check our friends over before a mission, without knowing that they're only going because they have been told that if they do not go, everyone will die. That's not good, but in that case, all I did was a physical. This is a better one, to illustrate the difference between torture and medicine. I am a medical professional, and my friend comes to see me because he is nearly blind. He wants cybernetic eyes, which is surprising, given that he didn't seem to view his lack of vision all that negatively before. He says he needs it for a job and really wants them. I have every reason to think that he could do another job if he wished, and so he is choosing this. I perform the surgery, and I work very carefully to form a relationship of professional respect with him, so he trusts me with all aspects of his medical care, since I work so hard to respect his comfort and consent. Equius says coldly.
Nepeta
tries. The other situation is my nearly blind friend comes to me asking for cybernetic eyes, which is surprising, given that he didn't seem to view his lack of vision all that negatively before. He has been told that he has to perform this job or else everyone he knows, including me, will die. If he does not get the surgery, then he cannot do the job. He is also told that he cannot tell me about this, so when I ask him for his informed consent, after explaining everything, he has to agree. I am no longer a medical professional performing a surgery to help a friend gain vision to do a job he wants. I am the twisted surgeon that tortures him and removes and replaces his body parts against his will in order for him to do dangerous work he cannot refuse to do.
Equius growls at her.
I didn't know then!
Nepeta squeaks, her eyes already overflowing with tears. No, not the first time. How many times since you found out have you let me operate on him? These are my friends. I thought I was helping and healing them. You have made a monster of me, Nepeta, Equius tells her.
He's not yelling. He doesn't have to. When you say something that heavy, the weight of it clanging to the ground gives all the volume you need.
You are not the only one who wanted their life to be a certain way because of their ancestor. You were trying to follow yours, but I was trying to get away from mine. I did not want to hurt people. I wanted to help and to heal, to use my skill for good and not to simply follow some terrible system. You allowed me to do this instead, he says.
All of you are watching this play out in front of you. You know that Karkat was mad that Nepeta was hiding things from him, hiding all that shit about Vakari. Clearly he didn't want it to come to this. Arati is obviously torn. She hated this whole system, and you know she wanted everyone to know about the Void, but she didn't really think anyone was bad for it being the way it was. Nepeta wasn't her enemy or anything. You didn't want to fuck things up more than they were already, and you know how badly fear and awareness can draw the Void in, just from experience. You know how fear catches. It's not just your ship either, it's the fleet. Things were better before, and sure, Nepeta got you to try to steer Karkat clear of shit, but you're his Moiro, and protecting him is kind of the deal. Solix apparently knows that he doesn't know shit, and doesn't look like he's one way or the other, but this whole fight is alarming, and he's clearly trying to pretend like he's not there in the hopes that he doesn't get involved. Off to the side by him, the ghosts are all spectating. Quite the audience to this blow-up. You don't even know what Dave would think about all of this. You think he was pretty close to your take on it. Shit sucks. That's just how it is. Nepeta's pretty much always got your backs. You're friends. Maybe he would have kept his eyes if his life wasn't how it is, but it is how it is, so what's the point thinking about it? You know he always went to Equius for his medical stuff, even when it wasn't for his eyes. Not the kind of thing he'd do if he had the guy down as some scalpel-wielding horror movie villain. What probably would piss him off is being used as a way for Equius to make his point, which is a little funny if you think about it. Nepeta lowers her head, her focus on the ground.
You're right. I was just coming here to make sure everyone was okay. I'm not trying to make any of them get up and do things for me. I needed to know how they were doing so I could let the emergency council know, but you're right. I'd already done this, but you've solidified my resolve about it.
Nepeta says softly.
Done what?
Equius asks slowly.
We have an emergency council nominated in case the captain can't perform her duties, from being sick, missing, dead, or this. the heads of all the major areas of the ship, including me and Polypa for sailor-related topics and missions, but with all of this coming out, the members of the council who weren't aware of everything voted that we should have an equal number of people who did and didn't know in each department. Not that we can do that now with the sailors. We've also agreed to try the captain for what she's done. Cancre's leading a lot of that. I put myself forward to be tried as well, which is a little difficult since right now I still need to do my job and I'm still needed.
Nepeta says quietly. They haven't arrested you, though, Equius says, slowly and uncertainly.
No, it's weird legal grounds, but you're right. You're right about all of it. Sometimes you have to keep information secret to protect people. Sometimes you have to make tough choices. Sometimes there's no right answer. I'd accepted all of that stuff. I'm not stupid, but I thought that if I tried to make things better, if I was good to people, if I did the right thing, then I'd be okay. But this was something terrible, and no matter what I intended, it infects things. It made me keep things from you that you should have known. Made you do something awful. It made me turn on my friend because I thought I knew better.
Nepeta glances at Karkat at the end there. If you are genuinely remorseful and willing to examine and take account of your actions, to the extent of letting others examine what you knew, did, and intended, then I can at least accept that. I'm still upset and disappointed in you, though. This does not fix things, Equius warns her.
I know. I'm upset and disappointed with me, too. I'm just trying to keep the ship going and stop everything from falling apart. If I can stop things from getting worse, then that's what I want to start with. I'm sorry. I really am. I never meant it to be like this. I didn't think it was like this,
Nepeta says miserably. It's like Equius wakes up, or at least he realizes that he's gone and had that whole ass conversation in front of all of you and your ghosts. He's actually pretty lucky that Bro's got all the thinking power of a regular sponge instead of a think sponge right now, or you're sure there'd be a lot more heckling going on.
I'll go and leave you to your work. Sorry,
Nepeta mumbles and nods. We should talk later. Equius agrees, with a sheen of sweat breaking out on his skin. Literally no one in this room wants to be in here around this conversation at all, including the two people having it. Nepeta hurries out of the word, and as she does, Equius's shoulders slump. Hey, EQ, can I go? I feel fine, and I assume the test said my blood isn't going to explode, so can I go home and help Hal with his virus problem in person? It'd also be less stressful on me to be somewhere familiar. You can slap a monitor on me if you want, Solok says, closing his desktop slowly and pulling it to his chest. I don't know, Equius says uncertainly.
You're right. You can't know if Solix will work too hard. He needs supervision. I can supervise him, though, and you know I get bored of watching people code if it goes on too long, so you can absolutely trust me,
Aradia adds eagerly. I will get some monitors, but you must promise me you will take it easy, Equius tells them both sternly.
We will. We'll take so much easy that other people will be wondering where their supply of easy is, but we'll have it,
Aradia nods. Equius looks like he's not too sure about this, so Solix rushes in to try to give him more reasons to let them go. We could stay, but since we're awake and everything, you don't want us talking here and disturbing Dave or the people who only just woke up and clearly need your attention more. Solix agrees hastily. Oh, fine. Wait here. Equius sighs and leaves the room.
What?
Karkat hisses at him.
Don't what me. I'm in serious danger of dying from secondhand mortification here. It's every man for himself.
Solix hisses back.
If it's every man for himself,
Karkat says menacingly, but you guess he doesn't finish that thought for some reason.
My remorse at leaving you behind vanished. Not having another crisis when I'm trying to stop your virus from getting into our reactor and irradiating us all or something.
Solix retorts, but he instantly drops the bickering the moment Equius returns.
I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
Karkat apologizes immediately. Solix sticks his tongue out childishly at Karkat and holds his arm out for Equius instead of answering Karkat. Aradia and Solix get fitted with their monitors, receive a stern warning that they definitely don't listen to, and then they're gone so fast there's almost an outline in the air of where they were. There's nothing wrong with their legs, at least, Karkat mutters.
It looks that way. I am very unpleasantly damp now, and I have been on shift for a long time now. Can I trust you two to stay put and call if you need help? As I said, Dave is attached to machines that will alert staff, and I will let the others know if something goes awry in the few minutes it will take me to shower and get a strong coffee, so that is not a problem. Will you two be fine?
He asks, looking between you two. What do you think I'm gonna get up to if you take your eyes off of me for 5 minutes? Karkat asks. You look at him, flatly, across the room. You stop paying close attention to him for less than a whole mission, and look how that turned out. Karkat catches your look and winces slightly. You didn't have to... Yeah, Equius, I'll stay here and be a model patient, Karkat promises. Equius turns his attention to you, and you shrug.
So long as my blood's not gonna explode,
you say.
Your blood will not explode. I will be back shortly.
Equius sighs, and with a nod at you both, he leaves. You realize that you and Karkat are basically alone now. Obviously, that was the condition that Equius was talking about, that he'd leave you alone, but you actually are. Dave is out cold, Bro is literally not all there right now. All the other ghosts have left, so the only conscious people in the room are you and Karkat. And the Bark Beast, but you don't think Beck's gonna be participating in anything much since he's just watching Dave patiently. Karkat shifts uneasily on his bed and picks at the sheet with his claws for a moment. He keeps looking up at you nervously. So, I should probably apologize for crawling through the ship to get to the shuttle and then getting caught. Karkat starts.
The thing I put you in there to stop,
you point out. Yeah, Karkat nods. At least it's not an excuse. You know why he did it. The reason he escaped the hiding place you put him in was just in the bed next to you and bailed with Aradia. With a sigh, you shift yourself forwards and then flop back on your bed and close your eyes. Karkat is quiet for a moment or two, but you can hear him fidgeting and feel the way the very muted edge of his anxiety tickles your think sponge. It's not fear, so it's not your voodoos picking him up. You know him, is all. We should talk about all of this properly, now that we're alone-ish. And now I'm not arrested or having people try to arrest me, Karkat says. You hear him get up and trace his path to you with the soft sound of his socks skimming the white, clean floor of the ward. Suddenly you can't remember if Aradia and Solix had shoes on when they made their escape. Everyone but Dave is in their regular clothes, although this isn't the same shirt you were wearing before for some reason. The idea of the two of them booking it out of the hospital in their socks is pretty funny, you have to admit. The bed creaks as Karkat hops up onto it, so you relent and open your eyes. Karkat's expression is guilty, so he starts to talk. I really thought I was doing the right thing, keeping you in the dark so you weren't struggling with lying to your god-awful ancestor as well as everything else. I was trying to help with the balance. I didn't realize you'd be able to feel that and not know why it was happening. If I'd known, it would have been different. Karkat tells you.
But you didn't know,
you say. I didn't, really, he agrees.
No, I mean, you didn't know shit about any of this, and you threw yourself in like you knew better,
you say. I tried to find out what I could before we did anything, but the captain was taking advantage of you all, telling you that all of this awful stuff was going to happen when there was no proof of it, Karkat protests. You sit up sharply and stare down at him. If this is an apology, it's sounding very sorry, not sorry, isn't it?
Yes, he lied about what Dave's mom found out, I guess. Not great, not happy about that. Except, that don't mean that the Void won't come after us harder than ever. We're just finding out in real time now, and you never asked me or anyone if they were okay with that. And now we're gonna do it all alone. You snap. But
You won't be alone. Everyone knows now. And it's not right to say something might be a bad idea so no one gets to know just in case and you all have to suffer in silence.
Karkat argues back. We are alone. No one in the fleet is going to have anything to do with our ship. No one is meant to know about this, and if we talk to other ships or try to go near them, they'll act like we're pirates. The captain would have had to report that the leak started. I don't know if she did yet or not, but she's meant to. We're on our own. Nep said they got enough stuff to make a new ship for the Carapacians, but any that we pick up aren't going to be allowed near anyone else either. No trading parts with other ships, no help, no nothing. You hiss at him. Karkat is looking at you wide-eyed and clearly horrified. You sigh and lay back down again. The ceiling is easier to deal with than Karkat's upset face.
Fuck. Gamzee, I'm sorry. I should have talked to you about it. I thought I was protecting you and helping you. I didn't want you to deal with your ancestor more than you had to, and I knew the captain was lying. I thought keeping the secret until afterwards was the right thing to do, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
He apologizes, and his warm hand rests on your bent knee.
It ain't the lying. You sigh.
The lying isn't great, though, and I'm sorry, he says again.
You make a noise of vague agreement and wave your hand like you're shuffling that idea away.
I lied to you.
You point out to the ceiling.
You were told you had to, and you obviously had more reasons than I thought for it. Also, if you'd thought, hey, I can't tell Karkat about this, he'll lose his shit and do something drastic, then you'd clearly have been right there, so, I can't really complain there. I get it. You had to keep quiet.
Karkat agrees.
Why do you pity me? You ask.
Karkat splutters, and you sit up on the bed again, cross-legged this time, so you can look at his expression of shock and whatever else that is.
After Kurlos and then getting haunted, I know I was in a bad way, so pity. I needed you. You made things suck less, and you didn't know about all of this, and when we were together, I could act like all that didn't happen. Wasn't happening. And you're there when things are too much, even if I don't normally fuck people up for pissing me off like I used to. You say.
What kind of question is that? You're my Morel. Of course I pity you.
Karkat manages to say.
Why, though? Time was when you'd flip your shit at anyone, and if you didn't tell me about it, you'd go off on one and say shit you'd regret. And aside from that shit before with Nepeta, you lose it on people about as often as I do now. But I liked keeping you cool from that stuff, and having you apart from all the other shit I've got going on. You say slowly.
What? Gamzee, what are you saying?
He asks you, wide-eyed, and now you can pick up fear from him. It's not like he thinks you're gonna rip his throat out. Not that kind of fear. Like, he thinks you're gonna rip out something that Equius can't stitch back together.
I'm not saying anything. I'm wondering why you pity me, or who the me in there is.
You say, and tap your index claw right between his eyes. You look away for a moment at Dave, still out cold, and scratch your neck for a second in thought.
It's like, I'm not that kid now. I know I'm not, even if that's always deep down inside of me. But you hear all this about conspiracies and all that, and the way you act leaves me thinking that you see a wickedly terrified, blood-soaked, helpless little kid who's been lied to and made to do stuff. Like I'm scared of the big bad captain. Couldn't be that I can't do anything about being haunted, so I just do my job, or that we'd all be alone if I did what you did, or that she needed us. I could have kept you safe from her if I'd needed to. If you hadn't got caught like that, there's more than enough people who were loyal to us more than her to make sure you never got near an airlock. I just did my job.
You shrug. You turn to look at him and wonder who you're looking at, really. Who he is looking at, too, even if it looks like he's staring back at you. What's he really seeing?
No, I don't see you as just some scared kid, but I'm also not so stupid as to think that deals you made back when you were a scared kid aren't still hanging over you now. And like Aradia said, you were a unit together. If you acted, it affected everyone. It's not... I'm sorry.
Karkat apologizes a little weakly at the end there. You shrug. You're pretty sure he wasn't going around thinking that you had very good reasons for what you were doing. You're pretty damn sure he thought he was doing this for you. Karkat opens his mouth and falters, glancing at both Dave and Beck, then the door.
Are you breaking up with me?
Karkat asks, barely more than a whisper.
Didn't say I was,
you say.
Okay, but it sounds like you are. I don't want to do that, Gimsy. I pity you. I'm sorry things have gone so wrong lately, that I haven't been at my best, but now we don't need to keep all of this from each other. I can fix this,
Karkat insists.
Aradia says that for her, feeling void stuff is kind of visual, but mostly physical, like she feels it moving. Dave says he gets the same, but he sees it, or the bit of his think sponge that processes it as sight was doing that before he got his fancy eyes, so reality for him is a less real layer of sight. Fozer said it was really sound-based for him, with bits of visual too. For you, it's sight, but the kind where you have to unfocus your eyes a little to see it deliberately. You do that now as Karkat is talking and see the white glow of the future in Karkat's eyes. You can see the aura of it around his head as he talks. We can be properly honest. I know I messed up in the past, and I'm sorry, but maybe this was what was wrong the whole time. I was stupid then, but if we can...
He goes on. Hey, you interrupt, and Karkat looks at you. If we weren't together, if we hadn't been, ever, and I asked you to be my Moirel now, would you?
I can't even imagine what the last decade of my life would have looked like without you in it. I can't reimagine all of that just to ask myself if that version of me would say or do something now.
Karkat protests. I can, you say simply. Karkat doesn't seem to know what to say to that, so you go on. Everyone knows if it hadn't been me, it would have been Solix, you say. It's just a fact.
That's not fair,
Karkat says with a scowl, but he's not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, it's not hard to imagine how you would have been if it hadn't been me. And I'm not saying we didn't need each other, but do you think you'd agree now? Do you need me now? You ask.
I want to fix this. You're not just some placeholder for Solix. Don't act like you are. I've never lied and said I didn't have feelings for him, but I wasn't desperate for him and Aradia to break up so I could get a chance, was I? And just because there are feelings there doesn't mean it actually work. My whole fucked up quadrant problem sucks, but it works with you and I get to be your Moirel. That wouldn't change in this alternate timeline that you're making me go on about. I care about now and...
Karkat says, the light around him getting stronger. You're scared, you interrupt.
You think? The ship's in chaos. I have magic powers. There's a conspiracy. Alien lives depend on us, and we might be pirates now. Do you want to work up to more controversial statements like water being wet now, or what?
Karkat snaps at you. Yeah, and the future's big and scary, but you know me. So if you can fix this, then you know one thing in your future that's going to be the same. You're dragging the past into the future, so your future's not just future. You're not even saying that you're happy. You point out. Karkat's staring at you, and the light around him flickers and dies, so he's just Karkat. And I had you. You didn't know about all of this, so I got to be around you and not think about all this shit. You were safe, and you got me out of being that fucked up kid. But you know now, and all that shit with the void and everything is out there, no matter what. You go on.
You and Karkat look at each other. You like him. You always have. You think he's funny, and you click well when it's him getting riled up about something, and you can just chill and laugh with him about it. He doesn't spook so easily at the VODs you don't mean to let out, and you don't feel the need to look for other quadrants. It fits. Karkat's hands clench the bedsheets slightly, and you watch as he looks up to ask you a question. Would you be my Moirel if I asked you out now, if we hadn't been together before? Karkat asks slowly.
Yeah, we get on, and things line up and all, you say lightly.
Okay, but are you happy with me?
Karkat asks you, with a scowl forming on his face. I like you. I like living with you. Things are nice. I'm not happy, you say, honestly. That's not the same as being happy, Karkat insists. Guess so, you concede. From the expression on Karkat's face, you'd think his spit had all turned to lemon juice. He reaches up and pulls all of his hair back from his face so tightly and intensely that it makes his eyebrows pull up enough to make him look a little startled. Are you try to begin, but Karkat started at the same time as you, and he has way more volume and intensity. You watch as he topples back on the bed, which leaves him sideways on it with his head and arms off of one end and his legs off on the other. Oh, hey, the legs are kicking angrily now. You look over at Beck, who has turned one ear in Karkat's direction, but is otherwise not reacting. This isn't the first time that bark beast has seen Karkat like this. You wait patiently. Fuck this! Fuck everything! Why? After everything, why? Fuck! Karkat leaps off of the bed and paces the room, arms going a mile a minute as he angrily gestures and yells. Like we don't have enough going on, but no! I mean, you're right, we should have this conversation, but if things could just fucking not for 5 fucking minutes, that'd be a change! He's still in his socks. Where are his shoes? Or yours, for that matter. Did Equius take your shoes to stop you from running off? But it's not like we can put the Now Beast back in the fucking bag now. Now it's out! It's out and all over the ship like the goddamn fur-bound menace it is. I've got so many Now Beasts out of the bag now I could start up one of those stupid cafes that Tavros likes. Which, as a side note, how did he find out about all this? Karkat yells, but you know that's not a question you're supposed to answer. Really, you have to have laser accuracy at finding the one part in one of these Karkat things that's actually the point, and Tavros is not it right now. I don't even know why I'm surprised at this point. Was I expecting to not fuck up literally everything? How dumb am I? Nope, because you're not happy and... Oh, there it is. Are you happy? You cut in, and Karkat's whole yelling tirade falls apart and leaves him standing there. His shoulders slump. I don't think I've been happy for a long time. You nod in silence, and Karkat returns to sit on the end of your bed miserably. I never wanted to hurt you, and I really don't just think of you as the person you were when we first got together, really. But obviously I couldn't help you with all of this, or I helped with what I could, but I'm not helping you with this, am I? Karkat asks. Yeah, I guess it was more distraction, you admit. I wanted to help, Karkat offers quietly. I know. Was I helping you? You ask, a little concerned about the answer. You did. I could always get things off my chest that pissed me off, and that definitely helped. I think you taught me how to not blow up at everything. I'm way better than I was when we got together, but outside of that, not so much anymore. But I care about you. I guess not pity, but I love you, Karkat says uncertainly. The whole human idea is so weirdly vague, but sometimes you guess your feelings are weirdly vague too. Same, you nod. So, what? Are you breaking up with me, or I don't know what to do, he admits uncertainly. We could call it even, you suggest. You're not totally sure on how the rules on this normally go, but whatever, right? Mutual, you mean? No one broke it off or got broken up with? We just decided together? Karkat asks, almost curiously. Seems about right. I know we both lied to each other, but it's not about that. It's just how it is. Or half and half, right down the middle. I broke up with you and you broke up with me. You say, and gesture to yourself like you're in two halves. I'll let you tell it to people that way. I'll just say it was mutual. Karkat laughs a little weakly and seems to catch himself. Sounds right. You nod. It's
really weird. I feel sad, but not as sad as I thought I would. Sad it's over. Sad I couldn't help you the way you needed past a certain point, but maybe it happened a while back. Karkat says, slowly and thoughtfully.
Maybe, but you don't need to worry about when it started, since we only just broke up now officially, you say. Equius, just one step into the doorway, freezes and looks at you both. He definitely heard that. 10 minutes. I was gone for 10 minutes. What did I... I'm sorry to hear that. Please, go and lay down and rest and not get agitated. Equius orders, and Karkat hops off of your bed and goes back to his. He passes you, and you hear him muttering about how he gave you two only one instruction, and still this happens. What ends up happening is you and Karkat sit on your beds quietly, each lost in your own thoughts as Equius looks over Dave again. When he checks Dave's blood pressure, you wonder what you're going to do without a Moirel. On the other hand, you don't want to expose Karkat to GHB now that he can see him. You squint at Karkat as you realize that he's definitely been home when your ancestor's ghost was there, and you're pretty sure he was walking through him and putting his hand through the guy's face on purpose and pretending that he couldn't see him. You kind of respect the ironclad nerves to do that, but you know it won't go down so well now that your ancestor knows Karkat can see him. Just because psionics somehow outmatched your ancestor doesn't mean that Karkat's can. Shit, psionic is the only one you've seen do that, and that's not for lack of trying on Bro's part. It's not like Bro's weak either. You've seen him jump stray ghosts for fun, just like you have with your ancestor. I'm gonna need to move. Wait, fuck, I probably need to figure out somewhere to stay tonight. Karkat whispers in shock. You don't need to do that, you tell him. You get that he might not want to share a bed with you anymore. Not that you'd mind so much, because being a sailor, you've shared space with so many people without it being an issue that you're fine. I've never slept on our lounge plank without my posture pole taking industrial strike action and mauling any nerves that cross the picket line. You don't even fit properly on the whole thing if you're stretched out. A nap is one thing, but not all night. Karkat tells you very firmly, in that no-nonsense Moirel tone that you guess now is just a no-nonsense tone. Maybe, but if you're gonna go stay with someone, don't go stay at the Strider's place, you say. Karkat gets a look, and you realize how that sounded. It's not like you've got any say over who he stays with now, even if it is the guy he obviously has feelings for. That's not how I meant it. I'm just saying that at some point Dave's gonna wake up. You tell him. Yeah. Karkat sighs and looks at Dave. None of that stuff about him was supposed to come out at all. It all went wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be his favorite person for a while. I can't even say that's unfair or anything. Equius, can I go? I've got things to do at home, so... Karkat asks. Equius slips the blood pressure monitor off of Dave's arm and shakes his head kind of despairingly. He goes off to get a monitor and also Karkat's shoes. He also brings a lecture about Karkat looking after himself and what to look out for if he starts to feel off, but the end result is that Karkat leaves. He leaves you with a look that's regretful but kind of relieved, and you don't know how to feel about that. Are you going to be all right? Can I help? Equius asks awkwardly. Is Dave dreaming? You ask, instead of answering that. Equius falters, not sure if he should push you or if he should go with it. He goes with it. I'm not sure, to be honest. There's some brainwaves that would suggest sleep to me, but it's not quite right. Then again, I don't know what's normal for him. I've never had a reason to do a sleep study on Dave. Equius tells you. Right. You yawn and scratch the side of your neck. I think I might get some sleep too, you announce. You lay back, throw one arm over your eyes, and settle down to sleep. You're a sailor, so it never really takes that long. The thing about balancers and dreams is that all of you have the void in your dreams in some way, even if it's just interacting with your ghosts.
You and Dave have a particular thing. You can get into each other's dreams. Very, very rarely you'd brush up against one of the light balancers, but it's never the same as with Dave. You guess you're on the same wavelength. When you were both new to this, it happened by mistake, your nightmares sprawling out into his, and the same in return. Both of you hated it. Having someone see into those deep, raw, and awful parts of your mind was the worst. So, as soon as you could control your dreams enough, you were able to see his nightmares on the far horizon of yours, like a storm cloud far off. You could go there, but you chose not to. With Bro looking as fucked up as he does, and given how much you felt the strain that jumping the ship put on Dave, well, you think you need to go check on him. You slip into sleep, and eventually into dreaming. When you first realize that you're dreaming, you're in your hive. Dream Karkat is there, but you're not dealing with that right now. You cross your hive and open the door to your respite block. It's the respite block you'd expect. You close the door, and it's like you squint, but mind ways. You open the door again. Beyond it is your childhood respite block. The light in the room is off, and it's dark. The only light is from behind you, casting your shadow over the rough carpet. There's 2 beds in here, yours and Kurlos's, and right now, everything is fine. Dreams are a little weird. You don't know if you look around then you'll see your living room with Karkat, or if right behind you it'll be someone else. You're not about to sign up for tangling with your actual ancestor's ghost, or a dreamed-up version of him, so you just don't turn around. Instead, you walk into the room, your feet sticking to the shitty carpet with every step. You try not to breathe. You always try not to, but eventually the metallic smell of Kurlos's blood invades your senses. You stop at the edge of your bed and know that you're not getting under the bed at this size. You won't fit. Your knee touches the floor, already blood-stained. Your hand follows it, purple welling up between your now skinnier fingers from the shitty carpet beneath you. You wriggle under the bed, smaller, younger, weaker. It should end an arm's length from where you are, but you crawl much farther than that. When your elbow hits wood, you pull yourself forward and sit up. Feeling around, you realize that you're under a desk now, and as you realize that, a shape of it paints itself in the air. You get out from under it and stand up, moving through a cloud of scent that puts a faint shape of Dave's mother in the air. Interpreting Dave's dreamscape always means going through his senses, which sucks when they're really early memories. You know enough to know that this is the kind of impression of her that means that she's not here now, but was. You move by tracing the edge of objects as you go. The world around you is a hazy and confusing mess, but when you get close to things, you can see them a little. Still, it's a dream, and it's Dave's dream. You've been here before, and even though it's been a long time, you can't forget the way it makes you feel. Dave's issues are built into his dreamscape just as much as yours are. Your ancestor would watch you sometimes, staring and waiting, but most of the time he'd be gone entirely, since he didn't want anything to do with either of you. So, yeah, you dislike a violent man 3 times your size staring you down when you were a kid, but so would anyone. Dave is on a whole different level, though. The feeling of being watched follows you everywhere you go in Dave's dreamscape. When you navigate with them, the walls often break into 2-way mirrors, and there's always figures subtly moving behind them. You hear cameras shift and whir above you, tracking your every move. There are people in Dave's dreamscape, or they're sort of people, anyway. People dressed as scientists or other test subjects, but they run on rails, pulling along by strings. You know Dave can't see far enough away to see that detail, but his mind fills it in so that everyone that passes you stares at you as you walk along. You hate this place. Dave hates this place. It's not like every time he dreams it's here, but his deepest nightmares come from here. His past meshes into yours at the worst places. If Dave is stuck, it'll be down here, and you know where he'll be. The place is huge. nonsensical geography, and a terrible lack of depth perception making it almost impossible to navigate. At least, it would be if you didn't know the way. There's no route there, mind you, no path that you can memorize. You just walk until you find a way to go that makes you want to back the hell up and not go there, and then you go anyway. When your vision goes back to normal, you know that you're close. When the floor and walls start fracturing apart, you know you're closer still. And there he is. Dave is standing at the edge of the hallway, staring out. He's smaller than you are, younger right now by a good few years. You know what this place is. It's the place the test pods were launched from. Everything here is as fractured as Bro was, sections of the floor broken apart from others, with empty, infinite blackness beyond them. There's no sense of being watched here, no ever-present eye studying your every move. Just this place where the world fell apart. As you get closer to Dave, you see that his pale skin is veined with darkness, that his eyes are solid black. Not black like his artificial ones, but black as the void. You move around him, not that he seems to notice you. Ahead of him, the wall is broken out, and you'd thought that his foot was slightly over the edge, but it's just touching a cable. The shining steel cord spools out through space, weaving a path between smashed jigsaw pieces of the pod. It winds through them and out, and out, and out. Out there is nothing but darkness, true darkness. Void. His foot is on the cable, and you know that he could walk on it, could follow its path out, and never ever come back. That's what happens sometimes. You channel too much of the void, push too hard, use it too deeply, and you go away somewhere. You die from seemingly nothing, or sometimes your body stays alive, even though your soul has wandered away for good. Dave, you say quietly. Can you hear it? He says back. You know it's in Spanish, but his meaning gets right into your head anyway.
I'm not listening. It just wants to eat us.
You tell him.
I know,
he says softly. You touch his shoulder, and he blinks, his eyes back to human white and red. He looks up at you and frowns a little.
You looked like you were getting lost. Bro was falling apart, so I thought something was going down. Turns out it's that.
You explain, and jerk your horns at the hungry void trying to lure Dave out. Oh, Dave says. You walk away and sit down with your back against the far wall, looking out through the broken wall and at the void beyond. A moment passes, and Dave joins you.
It worked then?
Dave asks as he sits.
Seems like it. I ain't got the specifics as to how far we went. We're still both in the hospital, and Nepeta wasn't exactly sharing with us when she came by, but Aradia said we were good, so yeah. You shrug.
I'm so fucking tired,
Dave groans. You could say that you're both asleep, but you know that's not the kind he means.
Same. I didn't need all this shit. Father dying, everything going wrong, all that shit with Karkat.
You agree, wearily. Silver lining. At least you don't have to work on keeping things secret from him now. Actually, scratch that. I know I don't have to do that now, and it feels a lot more like an arsenic lining. Dave groans.
Yeah. We broke up, though, so...
Fuck. You tell him, a little helplessly. Dave stares at you wide-eyed in disbelief, and then shakes his head. Wow, so, 10-year curse? Yeah, I think we're saying that. Cursed. Dave nods.
Motherfucking unholy curses sounds about right.
You agree. The pair of you stare out into space again. The void is clearly still hungry, but it's not got enough of a lure out for you to make you want anything to do with it. You don't know about Dave, though. Dave wraps his arms around his knees and holds them close to him. He's so small. This is one of the reasons why you two don't do this. You're seeing him how he feels. There's no hiding from any of that. This dreamscape forms itself around what's really going on with him, and it's a lot to cope with. It's a lot to see of someone, and a lot to show. Solix is a balancer now, Dave says finally, not looking at you. Yeah, you say, because you're so thrilled about having to work with the guy for the rest of your lives. Jade broke up with me, he adds. Shit, so 10 years really is cursed. Fuck me. You whistle in awe. Also, I might be gay, or at least I'm gay for Solix, Dave goes on. Oh, bro's gonna kill you, you say in quiet horror. Yeah, that's the thing about being a past balancer. You got to hear everything bro said to Dave when you were at school together. You just know how he's gonna take that if he finds out. Yeah, it's gonna be so bad, and I know he's gonna find out. I know he already suspects, Dave says with a shudder. Fuck. Maybe you can get Solix's one to rip his arms off. He took out GHB right in front of me, you tell him. Yeah, to be fair, Psionic seems weirdly into keeping bro away from me and straight up mauling him, Dave admits. You kind of admire that dedication to carnage. It takes a lot of emotional power and psychological strength of will to be strong as a ghost. Then again, if he was in a helm, you bet he's got a lot of rage to work out. I'm kinda looking forward to watching that. You grin. I'm not. He's not gonna be there all the time, and we're gonna be the ones paying for it, Dave says miserably. At least, in your case, you think your ancestor's not going to blame you unless you start deliberately sicking psionic on your ancestor. Bro's more the type to blame someone else for his weakness. Yours is more likely to make a plan to murder psionic back. And now the whole ship knows everything about us. Knows about all of this. Dave goes on, waving an arm back the way you came, through the labyrinth of a laboratory. The way I figure it is, you start slowly. You've only got to drop 1 to 2 people off of a balcony for trying to thank you for your sacrifice before people wise up and stop doing it. I can't really drop my family off a balcony, can I? Dave points out. Well, you say lightly. Dave doesn't look at all amused. That's okay. You're definitely joking. Unless he was going to take you up on that, in which case you weren't. It's gonna be all, why didn't you tell us? And I should have known. Let's make this all about me. Dad's gonna either be disappointed or mad at himself that he didn't figure it out and help me, and I can't deal with either. And I've got to look all of them in the eye after they just blasted my worst moments to the whole ship and fucked my life over. Like I've got to be grateful that they helped me. I didn't ask for their fucking help. Dave snarls, his fists tightly balled up on his bony knees. Everyone's got a motherfucking agenda. You sigh deeply. Dave gives you a curious look, so you elaborate. Your dad wants you to be a certain way so he's a good parent, so he helped all this to make it so. Your siblings are pissed that they didn't help then, and they feel guilty, so this is some big thing so they feel better. The captain wanted to use us to fight the Void. The Void just wants to eat us. Jade and Karkat wanted us to be whoever they saw. You date someone, so you gotta be that. Everyone wants something. You wake up, and it's gonna be all of that all the time, and no one cares about you just for you. Everything sucks, and it's not getting better. If anything, shit's getting worse. You explain. Wow, thanks for the cheery pep talk. I'll just go hurl myself into the void now, then. Dave says flatly. I'm not here to lie to you. You snort. Dave looks at you for a moment, and he shifts from being a little kid to the teenager he was when you first became a balancer. He was still skinny and small then, but a little like he'd been stretched and not grown in properly yet. Honestly, given your own body right now, the same was true for you. You were just hitting your growth spurt when it all went wrong in your life. So, what's your agenda then? Dave asks you quietly. You know mine. I don't want to be the only one doing this job. It's easier with you. Plus, with you around, it's kind of a tie for most fucked up person. If you don't come back, it's definitely me. Misery loves company, you know? That's all I want. You tell him, honestly. I appreciate that. Dave sighs and slumps back against the wall. You wait for a moment and look out at the frozen moment in time where things really went wrong for Dave, too. You like Dave because he's reliable and he gets you. You can't get too close to him because being that seen all of the time is uncomfortable, like walking around in shoes the wrong size. But you care and you're honest with him. That's something, and it's real. Everything is going to suck, and I'm so tired and so pissed at everyone. This whole thing is a nightmare, and the fleet's gonna find out. Oh, and my mom knows where we are, and since she's the reason Solix is doubly haunted, she might be coming after us, so that's a fun thing to look forward to. Every time something goes off the rails, it's a lot, but I try to keep them on, and then it's another thing and another thing. I need a goddamn break, Dave says firmly. Fuck yeah. You nod wearily. When I wake up, he starts again. Oh, Equius took your eyes. You fucked things up with the space thing, but he said he'll give them back soon. You're also not as deaf now. He did something to your ears, so that's better. Jade brought back, so that's something. You tell him. I'm gonna say that evens out. When I wake up and I can get up and whatever, let's go to Tortuga and get completely wrecked. Responsible Dave is gone for now, and if anyone has shit to say, they can... Dave gestures helplessly. Get thrown off a balcony? You suggest. Yes! Dave agrees firmly. That's a terrible idea. Worst shit that's ever been spoken by anyone. I'm in. You say, and get to your feet. You haul Dave to his, and for a moment the two of you just stand there in the ruined hallway. I can never wake myself up when I'm here, Dave says unhappily. You grab Dave's hand with your left and open your right fully and hold it near Dave's face. Dave catches on and opens his hand too, palm facing your cheek. On 3, Dave says. The two of you count silently, nodding a little at each beat. As you get to 3, you slap Dave across the face as hard as you can, right as he does the same to you. You wake up with a jerk, and when you look to your side, you can see that Dave has flailed awake as well. Beck is suddenly at attention and pushes his snoot into Dave's palm. Good dog, Dave croaks. Best friend. As you expected, Equius springs into action to help Dave. You sit there as he explains Dave's condition, asks him questions, all that stuff. You watch as Bro slowly reassembles himself, shudders, and fades away. He doesn't go in a way that makes you concerned. All of the ghosts can choose to simply fade out for a bit. Your ancestor told you once that it was like being everywhere. It's not like sleeping, but their being is less focused. You're pretty sure it's what happens when they kill each other. They knock the other ghost back into that hazy, unformed state, and it takes a while to reform. Since it's actually happened to your ancestor now, you could ask him, but you doubt he'd find that funny. It's pretty amusing to you, though.
I would like to test your blood, if you'll allow it. I've done it to the others, and so far everyone has come back normal. I'd still prefer to test you given the risk of infection with your eyes and your exposure to space, Equius says.
That makes sense. Also, everything is still a little muffled, Dave says, gesturing to his ears, which are still bandaged a little.
Yes, I repaired as best as I could. I think you'll need a follow-up, but your hearing should dramatically improve within the next 24 hours. I can take off the bandages as well, which will help, Equius says, but doesn't move.
Please, Dave nods.
Okay, reaching around you now. Just unfastening it, unwinding.
There, Equius says, narrating each step. Shockingly, not having stuff wrapped around my ears helps. Blood test, then? Dave asks.
Whenever you're ready,
Equius says. Yeah, go grab your stuff, Dave tells him, and with his left hand he feels over his right arm. He's in hospital scrubs right now, which makes sense since he was just wearing his undersuit before. Actually, thinking about it, you're not sure how Aradia got her regular clothes back. Either way, the sleeves on Dave's scrubs are short, which leaves him room to feel the inside of his right elbow. I've still got veins, Dave tells Equius as he comes back with a little tray of medical equipment in hand.
I would be very concerned if you'd lost them.
Equius chuckles as he sets the tray down on Dave's bedside. Hey, leave a planet in a rush, you forget things. Got my toothbrush, spacesuit. What did I forget? Ah, shit, I forgot all my circulatory system somehow. Dave jokes.
A relatable problem. Here.
Equius picks up that thing that tightens around your upper arm and taps Dave on the knee with the hand holding it. You watch curiously as Dave takes it and puts it on his own arm, tightening it by himself.
And the swab. I've opened it, but it's still in the packet.
Equius adds, and again, Dave takes his own medical supplies and sterilizes his own arm instead of Equius doing it. Dave pauses for a moment, and you can feel fear building up around him. Equius waits silently on his chair, not doing or saying anything until Dave does.
Okay, cool. You can just... yeah.
Dave manages.
I have nowhere else to be. I'm getting the needle now.
Equius explains. Equius picks it up and turns to Dave again. With his free hand, Dave just touches Equius's arm. Dave nods and Equius uncaps the needle. He goes through every little step, saying what he's going to do next, and either waiting for Dave to nod and give him permission, or with Dave actively having a hand on whatever Equius is doing. You don't know if Dave could actually stop him, if his grip is enough to do that, but it's pretty clear that Equius is waiting for Dave's lead on everything. It's becoming a little more obvious why Equius was that mad about compromising his medical ethics if this is how careful he is normally. You keep your mouth shut until Equius has checked everything he needs to with Dave, including testing out his balance, since whatever procedure he did to Dave could have messed with that. His balance is a little off, but basically fine. You don't say a damn word about how Equius is treating Dave. You've been through those labs in his dreams. You don't need to ask why that stuff makes him twitchy. He doesn't want to talk about it, and you don't want to know more than you already do. He does the same with your past. When he's about ready to release you both, he produces a medical monitor.
Gamzee, I'd feel a lot better about letting you go out there if you wore this monitor. Please?
Equius says, holding it up. If it means I get to go, sure. You agree, and hold your arm out. Dave, now changed back into a clean set of regular clothes, folds his arms close to his chest and stays silent. Equius fits the monitor to your arm and then turns to Dave.
I know you'll have Beck with you, but you will be going home to someone, won't you? I don't really want you alone overnight, just in case.
Equius says gently, not even raising the idea of putting a monitor on Dave. The residue of Dave's dreamscape itches in the back of your mind. The constant surveillance and the very tangible fear of it. Yeah, carrying around something that broadcasts all of your medical information makes you feel a little sketchy when you remember that. You doubt Dave's up for that right now. It's probably not an issue most of the time, but everything's fucked up all at once right now. Why make all that shit more stressful? I live with Solok, so he'll be there. I don't know if I want to see Hal right now, but he's gonna be there too, so yeah, I'll have someone. Dave mutters.
Alright, good. If you feel unwell at all, please contact me, and both of you make sure to rest. Make sure you eat something nutritious.
Equius starts to list off. And drink? You suggest innocently.
Yes, definitely.
Equius nods. Cool, gonna get right on that. Beck, come on. Dave says, and Beck bounds off of the bed to walk at Dave's side. You give Equius a lazy wave goodbye and quickly catch up to Dave in a few long strides. You leave Equius's ward behind and make your way through the hospital together. So, Tortuga? Dave asks, one hand on Beck's harness. Hey, you heard the man. Doctor's orders. You snicker, and Dave's shoulders shake a little as he laughs quietly. The three of you start walking again. You remember that Dave was really supposed to have a handle or whatever on that harness of Beck's. You've seen other bark beasts with vests and the wire handles. The problem is that Beck is just so big. Mostly he's long-legged, so it was always easier for Dave to just have his hand on the vest itself and leave the handle off. Also, you know Beck's a bark beast because everyone says he is, but given his size compared to others you've seen, as well as his intelligence and snow-white coat, sometimes you'd swear he was Lucis.
They're staring, aren't they?
Dave asks. You look up from Beck and look around. People are definitely glancing at you both as you walk along. Yeah, you say, not liking it one bit.
I'll strap down to the engineering deck from here. I'm not in the mood to be gawked at, and if some random person thanks me, I'm gonna flip shit.
Dave says, and peels off in a new direction on his own. You follow Dave and Beck to an elevator, not sure whether Dave is guiding Beck or it's the other way around. Either way, they get there, and Dave gets the button pressed to go down. Maybe you encourage some nearby people to keep their eyes to their goddamn selves as they pass, and make others reconsider joining the two of you. Maybe you do that. It'd be hard to prove. Thankfully, the engineering deck doesn't have so many people wandering about gawking, and you and Dave are able to walk without much issue. Sometimes you've got to wondering before just how Dave and Terezi get around the ship. Obviously, Terezi has her cane and Dave has Beck, but neither of them usually go around looking like they don't know where they are. You're pretty sure you couldn't find your way around the place with your eyes shut, but then again, maybe Dave just knows how to get to specific places, and of all places, Tortuga is somewhere you've both been an awful lot. When you get to the bar, people notice you instantly. They always did, but right now everyone knows that shit has gone down and exactly what you all went through up in the captain's office. Dave's lack of eyes is pretty hard to miss. Chahat steps by immediately, holding the door to Tortuga open for you both without a second's hesitation. Beck leads Dave to a stool at the bar. It's empty, but if it hadn't been, you know anyone would have leapt out of it so Dave could sit down. He hops up onto the seat, and Beck puts himself between Dave and the door with his chin on Dave's knee. As for you, you take the seat next to him. You raise your hand to Gamar. The Rusty nods and comes right on over.
Usual, Gamzee? Dave?
He asks, his hand already reaching for a glass.
Yeah.
You nod, and Gamar looks at Dave.
Give me a shot of something shitty but strong, and then something actually nice.
Dave tells him.
I can do that.
Gamar nods. You watch as Gamar works behind the bar. He cracks open a large purple energy drink and then adds a lot of very potent spirit to it. It's kind of like vodka, but it's not got much in comparison with properly distilled stuff. Generally, this particular spirit is just called scum, given that it's almost exclusively made in people's sinks with a process that's definitely illegal, but nothing else hits quite the same, in your opinion. Gamar pauses for a moment and then pours out a double of scum neat into another glass and then sets about making a slightly fancier drink. He sets all of this in front of you both and nods. Other people would pay, but other people aren't in the business of keeping this ship existing and therefore this whole motherfucking bar existing, so you don't pay. Ever. Gamar doesn't mind. He actually saw what was out there one time. Not physically. He had a seizure once from a head injury, and the whole truth of it all dawned in his mind like a gift from a god that hates him. He saw what was out there, and is happy to keep it out there, and he doesn't care how much drink or fried food he has to ply you all with to keep it that way. Dave knocks back the glass of scum and coughs, cursing a little in Spanish before switching back to Alternian. Fuck, I think that just took the enamel off my teeth. Dave wheezes.
I'll drink to that.
You snort and have a swig of your own drink. Dave switches to his fancier drink and sighs a little after he sips it, leaning his elbows on the bar.
I'm so fucking done right now. Everything has gone so wrong that I don't even know where to start, and I'm just so tired of all of it.
Dave sighs.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I don't even know what's going on with the fleet yet. I'm not touching that shit till tomorrow. There's nothing we can do about it, so I'm not thinking about it.
You agree.
And my mom, and my family, and everyone knowing all that shit about us,
Dave says helplessly.
I can't believe the captain lost it like that.
You say, and drink some more. Right? I know the idea of losing everything and losing contact with the fleet made her twitchy as all hell, but she went from paranoid with power to evil maniac like that, Dave says and snaps his fingers. Fear makes people stupid as hell, you point out. Yeah, I know, but... I know it's stupid, but I thought I had her pegged. Yeah, she could have spaced our people if we disobeyed her, but that's a given with any captain. I always thought we were nowhere near that with her. Obviously, we didn't get a choice, but it's not like she was like my parents and your ancestor, you know? Dave says unhappily. I get it. I thought we were all on the same page. Even if we didn't like her calls all the time, it wasn't... You try to put your finger on the point you're making. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I guess I'm just disappointed, but it's like you said, everyone's got an angle, you know? Everyone wants you for something. Dave agrees. You nod and clink your glass against his, and the pair of you drink in silence for a bit. Galmar comes by with a small basket of fries and unidentified deep-fried possible meat bits.
Same again?
Galmar asks, picking your glass up and prompting Dave to drain his. You nod, but Dave thinks for a moment. You got nice whiskey? Dave asks thoughtfully.
Sure do. I'll get you a glass.
Galmar nods and collects Dave's glasses too. Dave turns his head towards the basket of fried stuff between you. You watch his fingers skim the edge of the basket before picking something out and sniffing it. What is this? He asks after a moment. You pick one up yourself and bite through it. Not that it helps much. Deep-fried something? You answer. Helpful, he drawls. It's meat, but it's nothing Alternian, I don't think. Might be human. You shrug. Deep-fried human meat, huh? Pass. Dave snorts. There's a whine from below the bar. Although Beck is still exactly where he should be, he's giving Dave the biggest puppy dog eyes ever, his gaze firmly fixed on the prize of a deep-fried canine confection. Or what he hopes is one, anyway. You shouldn't have deep-fried stuff. It's bad for you. But I shouldn't drink, so... Dave says, and drops the fried mystery meat into Beck's eager maw. From the extensive tail wagging, you're going to guess that it met his approval. Dave wipes his greasy fingers on his previously new and clean clothes and leans against the bar again. Galmar returns with your drinks, and you both resume drinking together, or at least you do. Dave falters when he picks up his generously filled glass. There's a big round ball of ice in there, and Dave touches it with his finger before doing anything else. That's probably smart. You wouldn't want that banging into your teeth unexpectedly. Wow, that's really big and round, Dave remarks in surprise. Melts slower, probably. You shrug. Think this would fit in my eye socket? Dave asks, and you nearly choke on your drink. What? You laugh and cough at the same time. You'd be surprised how big eyeballs actually are. They're bigger than you think, he tells you. But if you tell me that, and I think about how big they'd be, then they'd be bigger than that. So if I thought about that, then you start. Infinity, infinite, there's a pun there, Dave says. You go back to your drink, now wondering about eyes. You guess you could ask Equius at some point, maybe. You'd much rather think about that than all the other stuff that's the actual insanity of your life right now. Mom used to drink vodka and gin a lot, but Bro was more whiskey and tequila. Mostly whiskey. I probably should be weird about drinking this, but I don't normally... It's not like with gin, where it's like, bam, Mom immediately in the brain. Dave rambles and digs a little more. It's not associated in your head. You nod. Yeah. Dave nods and continues making quick progress through his drink. There was that song about whiskey. Hey, Galmar, again, yeah? Dave calls out. There's a lot of songs. Drinking's a thing, you point out. Yeah, but... Dave trails off and tilts his head a little. You think if he had eyes, he'd have them closed right now, like he's thinking. Gamar puts Dave's fresh glass down on the bar, and Dave pulls it closer. Slowly, he starts to sing.
Come guess me this riddle, what beats pipe and fiddle, what's hotter than mustard and milder than cream, what best wets your whistle, what's clearer than crystal, sweeter than honey and stronger than steam.
The bar falls quiet at Dave's voice, and it seems to reverberate off of every bottle and glass in the place. He's not balancing, just singing, but they don't know that for sure like you do.
What can make the dumb talk? What can make the lame walk? What's the elixir of life and philosopher's stone? And what helped Mr. Brunel to dig the Thames Tunnel? Sure wasn't it whiskey from Aldinishon?
You vaguely know this one. Last time you were at the Reaching Liberty, you know Dave hung out with a lot of their human balancers. You did too, but you didn't have that cultural connection he did with his own species. You think you heard it there. You might never get to go there again now, so this song might be one of the last things you have from that place in time.
So stick to the crater, the best thing in nature, for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. And boys, I'd half wonder if lightning and thunder was made from the plunder of whiskey, me boys.
Dave's voice trails off, and he has a sip of his new drink, and you follow suit. Can't things just not change? You sigh after a while. Can't we just have one thing? Dave agrees miserably, leaning heavily against the bar. Things were fine with Karkat, and somehow they fucked up and it all went not fine when I wasn't looking. You protest. Fuck, same with Jade. She outgrew me, or the fuck's up with that? Dave agrees bitterly. Fuck everything. You say vehemently. Reach over the bar and grab a bottle of some spirit or another and add more of it to your drink. You down your glass, but at your side Dave is leaning one elbow on the bar and with his other hand is tracing around the rim of the glass, making it sing. Hopelessness wells up inside of you, and you can see it in Dave too. You preferred pretending you were okay, that things were fine and you were a regular sailor. It wasn't true, but it was nice to pretend. Nice to not have everyone gawk at you and whisper as you went by like they used to after Kurlos was murdered. But now you've got to go back to that, and it ain't fucking fair. Are you drinking? A horrified voice demands. You turn around in your seat, enough to see Rose and one of Dave's brothers. Wait, Hal was the one that got blown up, which means this one's Dirk. Which would explain Jake standing behind them, since they're married and all. Rose is looking right at Dave, and when you glance back at him, he is, in fact, drinking. Dave sits up a little, his face tilted down towards Beck. It's only because you're looking at him that you can quite pick out his voice over the hubbub of the bar. There's a lot of whispering about seeing as Rose and Dirk shouldn't be in here, and when you add all that whispering up, it's pretty loud. Beck, block, Dave says quietly. Beck gets up on all fours instantly and moves from under the bar by Dave's knees to a little bit behind his bar stool. You two shouldn't be in here. Jake, what gives? You ask, and Jake winces a little. Honestly, I didn't think you two would be here. I was trying to tell them that even if you were here, there's no way they'd get in. Except I think Chahat just saw me and didn't look harder. She's somewhere over there. Jake sighs, waving his hand to somewhere on the other side of the door that's meant to keep people like Rose and Dirk out. God damn it, Chahat, you have one job.
That's not the point, Dave. Hey, Beck!
Rose is cut off as she tries to reach Dave by Beck pushing himself between them. Rose tries to move around him, but Beck follows, determined to keep Rose back. I'm here to not think about my problems, so get lost, Dave says into his glass. Nah, you're both here to drink about your problems. It's way easier. Alcohol, traditionally in our family, is not a great way of dealing with problems, Dirk points out. Didn't ask, Dave says flatly, and continues drinking.
Dave, I realize that you're under a lot of stress, but this isn't a healthy coping mechanism. We didn't mean for things to turn out the way they did, and we never meant for anything about you to come out.
Rose insists.
I still don't know how that happened. I don't know if Hal did something and it turns out they missed a concussion when he was first taken to the hospital. They were too focused on him maybe losing an eye, and I've not got to talk to him much since... Well, he can't entirely remember what he did either. Dirk mutters.
Obviously this isn't what we wanted, Dave.
Rose adds. You can feel the rage rolling off of Dave like dry ice in the air, but to his credit, the glass in his hand isn't shaking at all.
I don't care. Leave me the fuck alone.
And Jake, what the hell? Dave asks.
I didn't think you'd be here, and I thought even if you were, Chad would have made getting in impossible. I'm sorry. Dirk, we should go.
Jake says softly, putting his hand on Dirk's upper arm to lead him away, but Dirk quickly shakes him off.
I'm not going anywhere. It's good to know you had no intention of actually taking us to Dave, since you knew about this all this time and said and did nothing.
Dirk snaps at him. Dave puts his now empty glass down on the bar with a thunk and turns around on his seat.
Shut the fuck up, Dirk.
Dave snaps.
Dirk.
Jake tries.
No!
Dirk argues.
Don't take this out on Jake. When he found out about things, he actually listened and he asked us about it. Jake had my back. He's more my brother right now than you.
Dave snarls at Dirk.
We were trying to help you. That's all we wanted.
Dirk insists, and you feel Dave get angrier still.
There's so much about your past that we didn't know, and I realize that you've been conditioned to see your situation as hopeless, but things didn't have to stay that way. We wanted to help you, to make it so the captain couldn't exploit you more than she already had.
Rose tells Dave.
Dave, you were going to say that he's staring his sister down, but he's lacking the ability to do that right now, what with the eye thing. Even so, it still looks that way.
Honestly, you're just watching to see how this is going to go. Usually when people get as pissed off as Dave is right now, not to mention having had that much to drink, you'd expect someone to get a fist to the face. You know he doesn't need to see someone to deck him, so he still could. Anyway, these two went and royally fucked your life up, so you're down to see either of them get what's coming to them, and you've got front row seats.
Dave,
Rose says. You watch as Dave tenses for a moment, but then relaxes again.
I hear you. You were just fixing things. You went out and found some stuff out, and you did what you did for our benefit. Sure, things didn't go the way you thought they would, and you didn't mean it. But you helped. You feel helped, Gamzee?
Dave asks, tilting his head slightly in your direction.
I feel something,
you say flatly, and catch Gamar's eye, gesturing your empty glass.
Look, maybe we shouldn't do this right now. You're clearly under the influence,
Dirk says with a shake of his head.
I'm so glad you told me. I absolutely wouldn't have known that if you hadn't. Like, holy shit, how do I do anything in my life without consulting you all, since you know everything?
Dave says sharply. Gamar puts your new drink down, and you go to grab it, but Dave gets there first.
In fact, since you were so helpful to us, and you know so much more than anyone else who knew any of this shit before you, I think you should stay here and tell everyone all about it, since you're so fond of telling everyone everything. Beck, come on,
Dave says, and starts to walk out.
Dirk tries to catch Dave's arm to stop him, but
Beck bodily shoves him away. Jake steps neatly out of the way, with his head ducked sheepishly.
Dave, wait!
Rose calls out, trying to follow him.
Jawhead, since you can't keep people out, keep them in,
Dave shouts from the other side of the door. There's a panicked scramble, and then Chahat fills the door frame, her eyes narrowed at the Striders.
That was my goddamn drink,
you say in quiet disappointment, even though you can already see Gamar making you another one.
Well, it looks like no one is leaving for a while, and honestly, I don't want to deal with this until you're being more reasonable,
Jake says with a deep sigh.
Reasonable? You knew all this was happening, Dirk accuses him.
No, I knew some things, and I knew that Dave needed support. Same with Gamzee and Aradia and, well, poor Father.
And I couldn't change the system. My grandmother hadn't threatened any of that before, as far as I knew, and I was well aware that this was more complicated and bigger than just this ship. So I helped Dave however he asked me to. I did his regular work for him when I had to, or covered for him when he needed to do something more. I already arrested my grandmother to save you. Don't you dare act like I did nothing. Jake argues back, his cheeks darkening as all that conflict stresses him out. You wouldn't normally put Jake in the category of confrontational. You've seen cooked spaghetti with more backbone than him when it comes to arguing. Now and then he'll actually put his foot down. He'll have to tell Dave later that he missed it. I don't want it to listen to you until you're being more reasonable, and I suggest you assume that your brother feels likewise. Jake adds in a huff and storms off. Dirk and Rose look at you like you're gonna help them. Rose opens her mouth, but you shake your head. I don't give a shit what you've got to say, and I came here to not deal with the shitstorm you caused. You say before she can speak. Rose tries. Not interested. You growl, and both of them skitter back a pace or two. Maybe I'm too stupid and helpless like Dave, but I could have sworn I remember you being smart. Sit down somewhere else. You're not going anywhere for a while. You say, and turn back around on your seat. A new full glass, a basket of fried... and a whole bar full of people who can have the two Striders as their problem instead of yours. You've got a mountain of problems waiting for you, but that can wait until tomorrow. For now, you've got the puzzle of, what is that meat? And that's way better.